All right, everyone. Welcome back to Scouting Movies. Today we are. Let me start this one with a question. What actually changes when we grow up? Obviously, there's puberty, there's getting a job, there's adulting, if you could call it that. There's doing taxes versus not worrying about money. Uh, there's all of that. So, but all of that is things that you have to do. What changes about you when you grow up? Is it just the job? Is it just um, the things that you have to do? The understanding of adulthood? Is it the slightly more expensive food that you're now eating? Is it something deeper? Is it something about how we think, how we feel, how we move throughout the world? Does our personality change from when we're kids? Um, do, do, and is that a good thing? Let me leave it at that. So today we're talking about the movie Big. If you didn't catch on to that, Big story. Excuse me. Big story follows Josh Baskin, your average 13-year-old boy who is rejected from a carnival ride for being too short. Uh, who is sitting right next to the crush that he has, and so he goes to a fortune telling machine called Zoltar, and he wishes to be big. And the next morning, he wakes up 30 years old and in the body of Tom Hanks. Suddenly, Josh has to navigate the world of adulthood. He has to get a job. He has to live in the tough New York City at the time. He has to deal with office politics. He eventually has to deal with a romantic relationship, all while still having the personality and temperament of a 13-year-old boy. He's still a kid on the inside. And watching him try to make sense of adult life with all of the sincerity and goofiness of a middle schooler is the highlight of the film. That's where it finds its magic. So let's talk about let's review Big. Let me first say this: that Tom Hanks, he was known at this time because he had started making a few other films, but he was still pigeonholed as a comic actor. If you remember, his first big movie was Splash in 1984, playing the guy that falls in love with a mermaid, and then he had done a couple of just comedy roles, all comedies, all. Showing that he has the comic chops of Hollywood. This was the first movie that he brought in some real dramatic acting. It's still a comedy movie, but he has to play the part of a 13-year-old boy in a 30-year-old man's body going through the changes and the tough relationships and things like that at this time. And he was recognized by the Academy for he was nominated for an Academy Award for this performance. So this was the first time that he was seen in a different light from Hollywood. Um, and he doesn't just play this kid in an adult body, he is that kid. Every awkward shrug, every goofy grin that he gives, the embarrassment at being asked if he likes a girl, it feels real. You can see him being a kid in a 30-year-old man's body, and that's what's different from maybe another actor who would have played this part. uh, like, nothing against Adam Sandler, but can you imagine him playing this part? There would have been a lot more screaming, a lot more acting like a child, because Adam Sandler, frankly, acts like a child in all of his movies anyway. Tom Hanks inhabits this part, and he brings a sense of desperation, a sense of loneliness to this role that maybe other actors wouldn't have been able to. It's effortless. Uh, One of the smartest things that Big does is show how the adult world isn't nearly as grown up as we pretend it is. Josh's coworkers, especially Paul, who's played by John Hurd, uh, he's basically a child in an adult's body himself. Because he has this petty jealousy, he needs to win at all costs. There's a really great scene, both funny and meaningful, where Paul takes Josh out to play a game of I don't even know what it is. It's a wall ball with paddles. Some of you may be laughing because you know what it's called. I don't know what this is called. Some kind of, I guess it's squash technically, right? Uh, yeah, it's squash. Excuse me. But it's on an outdoor court in this movie, and that's why it was throwing me off because usually squash is played on an indoor court like racquetball, but in this case, it's played on an outdoor court. And anyway, Paul gets really competitive, and Josh accuses him of cheating, and and they have this like 13-year-old wrestling fight, and it's really meaningful to show how uh, the world of grown-ups is still just kids reacting with kid energy to the same types of things. Uh, and so Josh, who's literally a child, is somehow more honest and open than anyone of his adult peers, and that's saying a lot. Obviously, when we grow up, we also become a little guarded. We've gone through some traumatic events, and so we're not as open and honest as kids are, and so you kind of get that message in there. Um, Let's talk about the scene that everyone talks about with Big, the walking piano, the inside FAO Schwartz, the giant floor piano, and playing chopsticks, and what's the other one called? Can't remember what it's called right now, but they're playing the floor piano in front of a or the walking piano in front of a crowd. It's iconic for a reason, right? It captures everything the film is about in under 2 minutes. It's the joy, the spontaneity, the innocence of childhood, the connection with adults. It's one of those moments where you realize, oh, right. I mean, this is why people love being a kid, and this captures everything about it. Um, the heart of the movie, though, is not between Josh and his romantic relationship with Susan, who's played by Elizabeth Perkins, which we'll talk about in a second. The heart is really Josh's friendship with Billy, his best friend, who's still a child, obviously, played by Jared Rushton. Their scenes together are low key, but they're some of the most emotional in the film. Billy is the one person who knows that Josh is actually a 13-year-old kid. And so he obviously sees him for who he really is. And there's a funny but really poignant scene where Billy is trying to get through to Josh's head, who's kind of lost himself in the adult world, and he's yelling, "I am I'm 6 months older than you, asshole," is what he says. And so it shows that I'm your best friend. What's more important than that? And that's funny because obviously there's a lot of things that are important when you get to an adult. But as a child, that is your most important thing. Your friends, your best friend is the most important thing when you're that age. So their bond isn't just comic relief or exposition. It's real. It's warm, especially when now that Josh is dealing with being an adult and learning all of the things that it takes to be an adult. But he still has this friend. You all remember who your best friend was when you were a kid and the magic moments you had with him or her, obviously. Um, the so Billy helps keep Josh grounded a little bit in a movie that's about growing up way too fast. That friendship reminds us of the things that are important and that are worth holding on to. Uh, I mentioned we would talk about Susan and Elizabeth Perkins. There's this romantic subplot between these two characters. He looks like an adult, obviously, but we know he's the truth. He's 13 years old. The movie never really gets creepy about it necessarily. There's one scene that's kind of shows Josh's sexual interest, but it's played for exactly what that is: a 13-year-old interested in what sex is and interested in what a woman looks like in that situation. It's still kind of uncomfortable. I mean, if you're thinking about it through that lens. To its credit, the film handles it with pretty good restraint. It raises some eyebrows, 35, 36 years later. It doesn't sink the movie, though. It's one of those elements that doesn't age as gracefully, maybe, as the rest of the film, but it's still, it's really, uh, it's kind of an icky kind of relationship between a grown woman and a 13-year-old boy, even though he's in an adult man's body. But it's played with really good actors, Tom Hanks in this case, and Elizabeth Perkins as well. And it really hits a lot of good marks that it doesn't become too icky, if I can say it that way. So at its core, Big is about what we lose when we grow up. And that's a powerful thing to think about. It's not saying adulthood is bad. I mean, a lot of us would say that, but it's about asking us to remember what mattered before bills, what mattered before deadlines, what mattered before business meetings and taxes and all those other things. What was the innocence of youth about? Don't forget it. Joy, curiosity, honesty, being weird just because it feels good to be weird with your friends, playing with toys, eating ice cream for breakfast. I mean, all of those things. Hanks makes us feel all of that. And he reminds us of what we were and what we maybe still are under the guise of adulthood. Um, so, wrapping up Big, it's warm, funny. It's a surprisingly wise film. Uh, really good script by Anne Spielberg, who's Steven's sister, and Gary Ross. Really good direction by Penny Marshall. It's not perfect, maybe it's but it nails that feeling of what you've lost when you've grown up and what you need to remember. Performances are heartfelt, especially that by Tom Hanks. The writing is sharp. The message still hits home when you watch it. It's funny. It's sweet. It's got heart. If you haven't seen it in a while, it's worth watching again. Uh, and you will want to find a Zoltar machine maybe to return to the innocence of youth. Or like Susan says at the end, going through it once was hard enough. So, so that's Big. Let me give it a grade. Um, it's really, really poignant, really, really good. Again, I said not perfect. I'm going to give it an A. Not quite an A plus, but it's worth watching. I'm giving it an A. So for you, what's your favorite kid in an adult movie? I mean, it's not the only one that's been done like this. Did Big work for you back in the day? If you haven't seen it until now, I suggest you go watch it and then let me know what you think about it. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe. I'll catch you next time. Let me know what I should review. Thanks, everyone.